If you love movies and movie discussions, you've come to the right place. Who am I, you ask? I am The Wiz! And I'm here today to review the 1993 costume drama, The Age of Innocence, starring Daniel Day-Lewis, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Winona Ryder, directed by Martin Scorsese. This is a film that I've been interested in watching, but it also is a stark reminder that as much as Martin Scorsese is known for his crime dramas, his violent epics, he's a very diverse director. It's just that not a lot of people really talk about his other work. Well, probably the exception of Wolf of Wall Street, of course. His movies are wildly diverse if you really look at it. So you have stuff like New York, New York, and comedies like After Hours, King of Comedy, and Wolf of Wall Street. You have his crime dramas, Taxi Driver, Goodfellas, Gangs of New York, if you want a more historical epic as well. You also have films of his that are more in the lines of epics about religion. Think of Kundun, think of Silence, think of The Last Temptation of Christ, one of his most controversial movies. And then you have his documentaries, something I really have to dive into. I bought The Last Waltz about a couple of months ago, and I have not gotten a chance to watch it. And that should be something I should check out at some point. Like, if there's something about Scorsese that I don't think he gets a lot of credit for, it's just how diverse his filmography actually is. Because when you become a really good director, you kind of get comfortable with doing one thing usually, or doing a couple of specific things. But with Scorsese, he does a whole mess of different things, which I find him very fascinating for, and that a lot of people don't really talk about. All right, well, let's get into the review of The Age of Innocence, directed by Martin Scorsese. But before that, let's get into the plot. This is set in 1870s New York, mainly in the high society rankings of that time. And it follows a wealthy lawyer named Newland Archer, who's played by Daniel Day-Lewis. He is set to be engaged to a very sweet, very kind, but I would say a very naive socialite, May, played by Winona Ryder. And everything's fine until he meets May's beautiful cousin, Countess Ellen Olenska, who's played by Michelle Pfeiffer, who has become estranged by her very abusive husband back in Europe. And the film chronicles what happens with Newland when he meets and starts to get infatuated romantically with Countess Olenska. That is essentially the film, so why don't we get right into my 3 points. And my first point is the stunning visuals of this film. My God, is this movie beautiful. That is like the very first thing that I thought about when I first watched the movie. Like, the first 5 minutes, holy crap, does this look good. Oh my God. The cinematography is gorgeous in this movie. And on top of that, the set design, the costumes, the specific things that they shoot in the film, utterly gorgeous. And the film knows it too, because they spent a lot of time focusing in on this stuff, on paintings, on fabrics, on costumes, even on food at times. So zooming in, and they linger on these visuals. They're utterly gorgeous. I think there are like 2 other films I can think of that are as beautiful as this movie, and that is Stanley Kubrick's Barry Lyndon and Luciano Visconti's The Leopard, which I saw last year, which was another gorgeous movie to watch. I watched this movie and was utterly stunned by the visuals of this movie. And I know someone will say, like, well, the visuals that are in this movie are kind of par for the course of costume dramas, right? Sure, but not as richly detailed as this. I would say to you, find a video on YouTube of scenes from this movie, and you will see exactly how richly detailed, how gorgeous these visuals are. Even when the film started to drag for me, the visuals were what kept me entertained and kept me engaged. Because it was just like, wow, what did they do to get this to look this good? If there's one thing I can point out about this film, the film is utterly stunning. My second point, a richly detailed look into 1870s New York high society. The thing that's very interesting about this movie, there is a narrator in the film that at first I was kind of annoyed by, because sometimes writers use narrators to find a workaround when in regards to trying to describe a scene or how a character is feeling, which this film does do. However, I think it works well because it actually goes into a lot of detail as to how the society works and how the characters are reacting to things in this society. When it comes to character development and moving the story along, it kind of slows it down very much, and it slows it down also to let visuals linger, because there's a lot of the times in the movie, the narrator goes into detail about how a building was made, or the type of things that they used to create the room and everything, which you would think isn't that important, but actually it kind of is, to talk about the character in the film and how they are perceived with the rest of society. I would say with this type of richly detailed look, the narrator is a good thing, but it also molds well into the visuals as well in this. My third point, main plot works, but isn't that strong. I am not going to say that the main plot of this film isn't good. It's good. It's good. But in comparison to the other elements that I just talked about, it does pale in comparison. The main love story, or the main romance in this film, is between Daniel Day-Lewis and Michelle Pfeiffer's characters. It's good. The actors are pretty good in the movie. I actually really like Winona Ryder, which is surprising because I wasn't much of a Winona Ryder fan until I started watching a bunch of her movies that she was in this year, and I ended up liking her in all three, and I actually liked her the most in this movie, which was surprising because I'm a big Daniel Day-Lewis fan. I liked their performances of Day-Lewis and Pfeiffer, but I just didn't buy the romance so much. There wasn't that spark. There wasn't that thing that made me really believe that they were infatuated or really into each other. I still think it works for the most part, but I honestly think it was the weakest part of this film. Still good, but not as good as the rest. All right, so who do I recommend this for? I recommend this for people if you like costume dramas. No-brainer. If you have not seen this and you like costume dramas, especially ones in the 1800s, definitely check this out. I also recommend this if you want to watch gorgeous visuals. Oh my God, if you are into gorgeous visuals in a film, even if you don't like the plot, you have to watch this movie. It is utterly beautiful to watch. And who do I not recommend this for? I do not recommend this for people if you are annoyed with exhaustive detail. The film does linger on for a long time on specific things and details that if you are just someone who wants the main plot to go along, I think you will be pretty annoyed by. But if you can stick with it and hold on and be able to watch it while they're going into those details, I still think it's a very good movie. I could see people get annoyed by the narrator who's like, why are you going on about the type of fabric used to make a specific room? Why are you talking about this person's wardrobe? Why? Why is this so important? Just get on with the story. If that's going to be you, you might want to steer clear of this movie because this movie goes into a lot of detail about that. Overall, I do recommend The Age of Innocence. Is it one of my favorite films from Scorsese? No, but it's still visually a breathtaking film. I just had an issue with the romance part of the film. Although I do think it's good, I just don't think it holds up to the rest of the film itself. Overall, I did enjoy the film. I think it's beautiful. And I would also say if you're a Winona Ryder fan, even though she is the supporting actress in this film, she's not in it that much, I think this is her best performance. I think she does a really good job in this movie. So overall, I do recommend The Age of Innocence. It's not my favorite Scorsese, but it's still a good one, which, you know, that's par for the course for Scorsese, of course. But yeah, I recommend The Age of Innocence. Now, if you want my full review on this movie, you can go to my website at IamTheWiz.com. You'll have my full written review right on the site, along with a link to the video that has this review that you've just listened to. All right, so Thursday, me and Zero are doing the 007 briefings, and we're reviewing You Only Live Twice. Saturday, me and Kim are reviewing When Harry Met Sally, directed by Rob Reiner. And Tuesday, I thought since we did romance in the beginning of the month, I'd say the next thing we should do is Black History Month. And we're going to watch a movie that I've been wanting to watching that I've heard great things about. I got nominated for a bunch of awards when it came out. And I'm going to be reviewing Spike Lee's Black Klansman, starring John David Washington and Adam Driver. I've wanted to watch this film for a while. I just haven't gotten around to it. And I think this is a great time to check that out. So to recap, Thursday, me and Zero are going to review You Only Live Twice for the 007 Debriefings. Saturday, me and Kim are going to review When Harry Met Sally. And Tuesday, I'm going to review Black Klansman. I'm The Wiz, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.